So first, let me put in the chat, anyone who cannot hear, please log out and log back in, right? Reminder, please use your first and last name, right? All right, and link for homework. Homework link is in the chat now, right? And I will say it again during class. So when you go to the link, let me show you one time what you will see. You're going to a Google form and you'll see practice paragraph, submit your practice paragraphs below, right? And you'll see it's asking for your email. Again, this is to cut down on spammers, right? So the homework for last week is to be submitted this week. If some people are joining this week for the first time, you would have watched the video from last week, so it will explain, but also you could do it on your own anyway, because this is the question from last week, right? So this is the week 1 homework. Try your own paragraph on one or more of the following, right? And then this is this week's homework, because today we're doing expository writing. Try your own expository paragraph on the topic secondary school students today are unique. And then you will explain why. Because today we will do patterns of organization. And I'm going to ask you to use one of them, right? When you do the homework, it might be a good idea to click this button, send me a copy of my responses, just so you'll have it for your records, right? All right. I don't have a deadline for when it should be done in mind, but you could try to get it done. If today's Friday, we have class Thursday. If you try to get it done by Tuesday, Wednesday, then that would be a good time for me to get feedback to you. For both questions, type the topic only. For both, it doesn't matter if you put the topic when you put your answer. I should be able to figure it out from the thing that you write, from paragraph that you write. Here is the link to the homework again, and I will come back to it during class and at the end of class, right? I'm just mentioning it now. For people who are here for the first time, then Sir would have told you to watch the video from last week. So hopefully you did that, right? And if you did that, then you should be able to do the homework, no problem. And even if you didn't do that, the last week's topic was what is argumentative writing and how to organize a paragraph. And most of you all have probably done that in school already, right? So even if you are new, you could still try the homework from last week, which I asked people to do, but then you had no way to submit it because I didn't set up the link as yet, right? So you would remember I would have explained that. So today, I'm sending you the link. You will submit the homework for last week, and you will submit the homework for this week, hopefully by next week, Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Okay, so any other questions about that, you could type them in the chat. If I can't respond to them right now, because I want us to move on into the actual lesson for today, I will address them either during the break or towards the end of class. So I'm counting to 10 to give people time to screenshot or take a picture if they want to. And then I'm changing the slide, right? So I'm just counting to 10. All right, so we're going, this is our topic today, expository writing. Okay, so you can take a note of the topic and then we'll get started on what that is, right? So during class today, I want to go over expository writing. I want to come back to fact versus opinion and talk a little bit about that. What is a fact and what is an opinion? How do we tell them apart, right? This should be review for most people. And then we'll do some examples of expository writing, right? All right, so by now you would have noted the topic. So I'm going to go to what is expository. Well, what anybody wants to tell me, because they've done this in school. What is expository writing? You can put it in the chat and I'll share it with the class. Last week we did argumentative writing. And we said that is writing where you're trying to persuade people to believe what you believe. Okay, good. Danny, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, has said informative. Elijah said when you explain something, both of those are correct. So in expository writing, you are trying to give people information, right? Now in argumentative writing, you're trying to do that too, right? But in argumentative, you're trying to give them information in order to believe something you believe or to convince them to do something. In expository though, you're just giving them the information. You're informing them. All right, so let me put back on the slideshow mode. And what is on the left-hand side, I would like you to take down. I will give you time after we discuss it, but if you could listen and write at the same time, go ahead, right? But I will give you about 5 minutes to take it down after we discuss it. So just like y'all have said, expository writing is writing that gives information. Now, it is also writing that is objective. That means we must not have our feelings in there, right? So we have to try when we're doing expository writing to leave out our feelings and potentially our opinions. We are focusing on facts, right? Not necessarily our judgments and how we think things should be, okay? Now, when we do expository writing, a lot of times we use one of these methods of organizing the ideas. Now, these are not all the methods that exist in the world, right? These are just some of the more popular ones. And if you are in forms 1 to 3, then most likely your students over the course of your career in forms 1 to 3, most likely your teachers, will be going over some of these with you. You will have comprehension passages in your textbook, and the teacher will bring in other writing as well, and they will ask you to see, okay, is this process, is this class, is this sequencing, is this illustration? They will show you the different types and ask you to find examples. And I bet some of you are telling me in the chat you've already done some of these things. Is it like a report? It can be used in a report, right? Okay, so it can be used in a report, it can be used in essays. All right. So it's writing that gives information, it's writing that is objective, right? And it uses an organizational pattern. So I have 10 here. We will on the next slide define these, right? But we will only look in detail at a few of them, the more popular ones, right? Okay, so when we are choosing a pattern to use in our writing, we have to choose the pattern that will suit our audience best, right? And we will have to choose the pattern that will work best for the information that we have to share, right? So if, for instance, anybody ever looked up a recipe online to make a cake or to make anything else? Oh, there's cause and effect twice. All right, sorry about that. So let me scratch one off. And when you are writing, obviously you write it just once, right? Thanks for pointing that out. So let me cross it out. And I could put another one in its place because, you know, there's a never ending list of them. And this one, ironically, is listing. So that one for sure, you're probably not going to do in lower forms, but since you already have 10 on the list, I'll just add one in to make up the number. When you get into upper forms and form 6 and stuff, listing is a popular one they ask you to identify, but you could see I've used listing to give you these different patterns here because I've listed out 1 to 10, right? I have 2 descriptions. I thought I changed that. I have description twice. No, I have definition once for number 5. Oh, no problem. And I have description for number 9. When I was typing it up originally, I had definition twice, but I caught that and I fixed it. But cause and effect, apparently I put back a second time. Okay. So we have all of these. We will go through the definition on the next slide, right? We choose the pattern based on the audience, and we use it in hand with other types of writing. Okay, so a good question from Zivan, and I hope I'm saying your name correctly, is when do we use it? So uses, right? So reports, you all have already said reports, because reports are supposed to be facts, and they're not supposed to be clouded by your feelings about what happened. So if you witness an accident, you're not supposed to say who was wrong and who was right. You're just supposed to say what happened. Writing up research. So those of you who do science, right? So example science, when you write labs, or even when you write notes, you will use expository formats there, right? So for science, think about writing up a lab. You have to break down things into different sections. When you write a method, for the lab, you're writing things according to the sequence it will take place in, or you're describing a process. I was asking before about people who have looked up recipes online. Anybody has looked up a recipe online for something? Okay, good. And what do we know about how they organize the recipe? They go step by step for the method at least, right? Right, good. So that is another example of usually in point form, right? That is another example of how they use expository writing, right? When you write summaries, you could choose, you could choose to use these patterns, right? But summaries are also expository writing. We don't put our opinions in summaries, right? What else? I think a couple other examples came up in a chat. But generally, this is where we use expository writing, right? Let me look back. Formal documents a lot will use expository writing. Can it be used to present information to prove your opinion? Yes. Can it be used in emails and letters? Yes, right? So let me put that here. Can it be used in story writing? Yes. So it can be, so this is like the last point, that it could be used with other types of writing. So it can be used in argumentative writing. A lot, right? To present facts or to present information. All right, so let me give 5 minutes here for you to copy down the notes here. And then I want to look at an example of a recipe online. What can't it be used in? Well, that's it's just limited by us, really. It probably will not be used in a lot of story writing, but it could be. Sometimes when you're watching a TV show and you hear a voiceover, they tell you, you know, first this happened, next this happened, then this happened, the third thing that happened was this, then the fourth. And that is them using sequencing or chronology, right? So it is more likely to be used in the things we have on a screen. It is less likely to be used in story writing and fictional writing or writing for entertainment, but it still could be. All right, so I'm just muting myself and I'm going to check in 3 or 4 more minutes where we are. Okay, great. Some people are already finished. So let's take 2 more minutes and see if anyone still needs more time. Okay, so I have a question on screen. Would news reporters use expository writing? Sometimes they would, but they should because they're given information, right? But if they are giving an opinion piece, like editorials in newspapers, they might not only use expository writing, they might also use some persuasive language, right? But since news reporters are mostly reporting news, they should use mostly expository writing. However, sometimes they also use other types of speaking and writing, right? Think about Ian Allen versus CNC3 News, right? All right. Anybody still writing? Okay, a few people, go ahead. I can give 2 more minutes to finish the note, right? Okay, most people are done. So at most 2 more minutes. And then at that point, if you're not done, you need to take a screenshot or else plan to come back to the recording, right? Okay, so I'm gonna pause the recording right now. And if you know what the definition is, you could tell me in the chat, right? Y'all okay with this, the kind of maroon colored ink that I'm using, or do I need to use something else? So types. Okay, types of organization. All right, I think I might need to use at least 2 colors to make it stand out a bit. Right? So like I said, I'm going to draw and write on the board, but you could make a list going down if you want, or you could organize it. You could do the way I'm doing it. It's up to you, right? The first one, I might do it in different colors so that it stands out. The first one is classification, right? All right, so classification. All right, so yeah, it's hard to read now. Okay, let me change the color. I'll just put it in white, right? Okay, so the middle says types of organization. We okay with that? And then the next thing I'm going to is classification. Okay, I'm going to try my best with the handwriting, but if it is not legible, you'll tell me, right? Okay, anybody think they know what is classification? All right, anybody want to give us an example? Putting things in order, yes. How are we putting it in order? How do we know what to put it in? Putting things into groups. Oh, yes, or categories based on characteristics, yes. All right. All right, let's just leave it simple like that. Right? All right, so let's see if we could do an example. There are several types of movies, right? Okay, so there are action movies, science fiction, and romance, to name a few. Right, there's fantasy, yes, that's right. What else we have? You have drama, horror, right? Yeah, so you could change the categories, you could put them in, you could use those instead. Comedies, right? Right. All right, so that's just a few, right? All right, so you could start writing down. Don't wait for me to finish. Okay, now what helps us when we are writing these paragraphs, or helps us recognize these paragraphs, are our transitions, right? Or signal words. So I'm going to put here signal words / transitions, right? So you might see things like varieties of, what did we use above? We use types. Yes, this is part of classification too. All right. So we put a definition first, we put an example sentence with it, and now we're putting some signal words that you might see if you read a paragraph, or if you write a paragraph using classification. Types of, what else? composed of, different groups includes. And you might also see things like first, second, finally, right? So yeah, this is part of classifications too. Okay, the next one I want to do is process. Or I had sequence first on the list, we could do sequence first. Right, can I clear this? Okay, go ahead. So we will do at least two related ones. We will do process and we will do sequence. And then that might take us to half past, so we will take a break. All right, so 2 more minutes, and then I might ask you to take a picture, right? Okay, guys, can I go ahead? Can I clear it and go ahead? So take a screenshot if you need to. Right, so I'm clearing it now, right? Okay, so we're gonna do two that's close together. So let me put back our heading. Right, patterns of organization. So we're going to do sequencing and we're going to do process, and they are very similar. I'm just drawing your attention to the differences today, but most likely a teacher would not give you the two in the same term because they can be kind of confusing, right? So let's say you had, well, I started to write process first, so we go with process. Sorry, I had types before. Okay, so types and patterns, they are the same thing, yeah? But if I had types before, I'll put it back. Sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so right, process. So when we're talking about process, we're talking about the order in which things are done, or we might be talking about how things work, right? Okay, or how things work, right? So example could be a recipe, right? So steps in a recipe. And by how things work, I mean like how things function, right? Right? Steps in a recipe, and an example of how things work could be how the engine in a car works. Right? Okay, so some signal words that you might see. These are easy ones. What do we see in a process? We will see first, second, third. Uh-oh. And then we will see finally and last, right? So over here, I'm putting our signal words. So still in the process. You might see lastly. You might see finally. Yeah, so I muted myself. All I said at the end was okay. Thank you for that. All right. So then we have sequence, right? So the next one we're talking about is sequence. I think I have the order the opposite way in the list. right? So sequence is next, right? Now, these two are very similar. In fact, sometimes we use them interchangeably, right? Because sequence also is the order in which things occur. Right? So information on a process. So you'll see the same word coming back is provided in a step-by-step way. Right? So example, paving the road. Right? So first, the road, the old pitch has to be dug up. Right? Next, the heavy equipment is moved in, and so on, right? Blah, 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 blah. All right. It's the same, we're looking at the same signal words from above, right? So signal words, sorry guys. I keep forgetting to switch from cursor to pen, right? So signal words are same as above. Same as above. All right, so when would you use one instead of the other? A process might be for, you're more likely to use process for something that you are going to do, whereas the sequence, you're talking about something that happens. So chances are we're not going to pave the road, but we might follow a recipe, right? So sequence might be a little more general and process might be a little more specific. But we do use them interchangeably in English, right? So your teacher might call it process, or they might call it sequence, and they kind of mean the same thing. So I just want to draw our attention to those words, right? All right, so it's 12:25. So let's finish this note, and then you'll tell me if you have any questions, and if not, we will take a short break. I want to do, when we come back from the break, I want to do cause and effect and problem and solution. And then next week, we will do compare and contrast, comparison and contrast. Okay, so let's take a few minutes, finish taking on this note. And then I'll check to see if we have any questions and we'll take a break, right? So I'm going to pause the recording. I'm saying that so somebody could remind me after the break to restart it, right? I'm going to start back the recording. All right, so I'm going to clear the screen now. And we just have 2 more we want to define today, all right? All right, so let's clear. Remember that I cannot unmute anybody. So if you have a question, you need to put it in the chat, right? Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is cause and effect. Yeah, so I'm skipping and jumping around and picking and choosing the ones that are most effective, the ones that you're most likely to see, right? So teachers will most likely do cause and effect with you, or process with you, or problem and solution. They're a little less likely in forms 1 to 3 to do illustration. So I'm just going to jump around and choose the ones that you're most likely to see, right? All right, so cause and effects. So in this pattern of an organization, right, the reasons why something happens is discussed or are discussed, right? And you also have the result of what happens or the effect of what happens, right? So the results might just be one result of what happens. So for example, we could talk about traffic, right? So example, morning traffic. And you could write a paragraph on that. And in it, you could address why does it happen? And you might say, well, there are too many cars on the road. Or you might say, because people drive irresponsibly. And then the results of what happens, you could say stress, you could say accidents, you could say getting to work on time, you could say having to wake up earlier to try and beat the traffic, any of those things, right? So causes could be too many cars, on the road, reckless driving. And of course, there could be other. What do you all think causes traffic jam in the morning? Do all of us meet traffic in the morning going to work or to school? The effects could be stress. It could be accidents. One lucky person said no, but most of you all are saying yes. Yeah. Even if you don't live far from where you have to go to school or where you go to work. Okay, let's sleep. That's interesting. Yeah, we should put that. You still sometimes meet traffic, right? If I have no traffic, I am 15 minutes away from school. And if I have traffic, I am like at least an hour away from school because the traffic just bottlenecks and people break the lights and all these other things, right? All right, now we were doing signal words. So I'm going to put my signal words on the side here. Traffic lights. If we had roundabouts in some places, not traffic lights, it might easily be traffic, yeah. It's true. Sometimes when a traffic light not working, you'll ever notice there's less traffic in some areas at some junctions if the traffic light is not working. All right, so we have because of, created by, so these are obviously for cause, right? Since, due to, right? And then for effects, we could have as a result of, we could have since again, as a result of, we could have consequently, we could have hence, we could have therefore. And these signal words are also called transitions. Linking words, you also know them as, right? All right, so let's do this example. Let's copy this example and we have one more and then we could change our activity. After consequently, the word is hence. These are just for you to pick and choose from when you're writing a paragraph. You may not want to put a transition word by every clause or by every effect. But you might just want to put 2 or 3 in the paragraph. We will do a couple of examples of paragraphs, just we may not get to it today. You'll have already written down a lot. So I want to shift on exercise, and then if we have time after we finish the exercise, we could write one together. Okay, 2 people have finished so far. Do some of us need some more time? All right, can I clear the screen? More people are finished, right? Okay, great. So I'm gonna clear the screen and we're gonna do problem and solution. So just like cause and effect had kind of 2 parts to it, problem and solution has 2 parts to it, right? So problem and solution, information on an issue or a problem is presented, and then a possible solution or remedy is presented. And this could be, it could take 1 paragraph or it could take 2 paragraphs, right? So a problem or issue is presented. Right, followed by solutions. So for example, the problem of traffic on mornings could be the subject of the paragraph. And what could the solutions be? What do you think would solve our traffic problem? So one person says leaving home earlier. Definitely, if we leave home earlier, we might not meet as much traffic. Okay, all right. So other solutions could be carpooling. All right, so leaving home earlier. Carpooling, we wouldn't meet as much traffic, and then some people I think who break the rules trying to get ahead faster might also not feel the need to do that, and then it would reduce traffic. Okay, alternative routes. Oh my, wow, a revolutionary idea here. Walking. What? That another route. So if we are close enough, definitely we could walk somewhere instead of driving, right? Another route, so we avoid traffic. To hear the radio though, they think that there's traffic everywhere all the time. All right, but we get the point, right? You say the problem and then you give solutions, right? And then our signal words. Possible signal words could be issue. So if you see issue and if you see problem, then you should be alert for, oh, problem and solution, right? And then when it's, or challenge is another way to say that. Then words for solution. Yes, more of a police presence could be another possible solution. Again, to stop those lawbreakers from cutting traffic and speeding up or breaking in lights. Yeah. Propose, well, solution is one, right? That's the most obvious one. I propose, or it should be proposed, that there's a greater police presence at certain intersections. The answer lies in leaving home earlier. What else? Fix. Right? So these are just some words that tell you problem and solution, right? And now these ones are not transition words per se. It's just particular vocabulary that would give you the idea that this paragraph is problem and solution. All right, so 2 minutes, and then we will continue. Let's try and finish in this note in 2 minutes. After solution, the word, after solution, the word is propose. Okay, carpooling is when, okay, so let's say a number of people work in the same office and they decide one of them will drive everybody to work. Or a lot of people have to go to a school in town, so instead of each parent getting on the road to drop them to school, they go with a maxi. So that's just one vehicle to take all those people to a place instead of like 10 different vehicles. So that's carpooling. We all pool together, group ourselves together to use the same car. All right, so one person is done. Several more people are done. Anybody need more time? All right, so a couple of people do listen. In the meantime, I'm going to launch a poll. Right? It's just a true or false poll, and we will do it again after we revise the topic, right? I'm putting it on the side here. You have 5 questions. And it's just asking you, you have 5 statements. Which one do you think is a fact and which one do you think is an opinion? So it's open now. You should be able to see it. And you could answer whatever you think is a fact or whatever you think is opinion. I cannot see individual answers right now. At the end of the meeting, I could probably go in and look, but that's not important, right? We are just checking to see what we think is fact and what we think is opinion. At the end, I will share the results with you. Then we will go over the topic and then we will do it again and see if the results change. So just I'm leaving the screen up for 2 more minutes and then I will change the slide, right? Guys, if for some reason your answers are not submitting, did I stop the poll? I don't think I stopped the poll, did I? No, the poll is still going on. Yeah, if for some reason your answers are not submitting, don't worry, just keep a track of your answers, right? All right, so what I think I can't relaunch it without getting rid of the answers that people already put. So can you all see the poll on the screen? No, you all can't see it. Okay, so when I end it though, I think I'll make the results public and you should be able to see that, right? Oh, all right. All right, so let me just make a couple. I want to note well, I'm gonna end the poll, right? So I can clear the screen because we're done with the problem and solution node, everybody, right? All right. I will relaunch the poll at the end so we can double check our answers again after we do the topic. So what we're gonna do now is fact versus opinion. Yay! What is a fact and what is an opinion? So I'm ending the poll and I'm sharing the results. So you could see we were more or less divided on everything, right? All right, and I am making a note here for number 1. So with how many people I had for fact and opinion? for 1, and that is 145 versus 28. And then for 2, I had 11 versus 162. I see some hands up. Remember, you have to put your question in the chat, right? I can't see it. I can't unmute you. All right, so number 3, there were 21 people said fact and 152 people said opinion. 4 more people live in the state of New York and the state of Miami. 134 people said fact and 39 said opinion. And 5, the world is fact. 15 people said fact. And 158 people said opinion, right? Okay, now before we start the lesson, I want to put something in the chat for you all to think about. It is possible to have an incorrect fact, right? It is possible, just think about it, for a fact to be wrong. Okay, and that might seem, it might seem so hard for us to wrap our minds around, right? Instead of fact, let me change fact to factual statements, right? A factual statement could be wrong. If it's incorrect, why is it a fact? So what we need to understand is that fact does not necessarily mean true, right? In our brains, we think of fact as true. It's a fact. The sky is blue, clouds are white or gray. It's true, right? But no, facts could be wrong, right? The fact has to be proven. We have to get information to prove it. So I'm going to stop the sharing the poll and we're going to go to our actual lesson on fact and opinion now, right? Right. When we are writing expository writing, or even when we are writing essays, the information that we need a lot of times will be facts, hopefully correct facts and not incorrect facts, right? All right, so let's look at one note. Is it fact or opinion? A fact is a statement that could be verified. It can be verified. It can be proven to be true or false through objective evidence. So evidence that is independent of our feelings. Right? Right. An opinion, however, is a statement that tells us a feeling, an attitude, a value, judgment, or a belief. Okay, guys, I'm still getting some pushback on what a fact is. That's okay, because that's what we used to believe in, right? So here's an activity you could do while we're discussing this. Find Google's definition of a fact, or any dictionary's definition of a fact. In your browser, if you can, don't leave your meeting, but in a separate browser on your phone, look up the definition of fact. Right, so an opinion is a statement that expresses a feeling, an attitude, a value, judgment, or a belief. So it is neither true nor false. It's just what some of us think. One person is telling me a thing that is true. I want to know what the source of that one is. Everybody else is getting a thing that is known or proved to be true. A thing that is known or proved to be true. A thing that is known or proved to be true. A thing that is known or proved to be true. All right, so the proved to be true is important. Right? We accept it as known after we have proven it to be true. for a while, right? A thing that is known or proved to be true, right? That is important. You have to have proof to be true. So if there's a factual statement and it turns out, wait a minute, this is not true, it's an incorrect fact, right? The thing is, you have to have proof for your fact. You might, yeah, you all right. So please, I just want to emphasize the difference between something that is true and something that is proved to be true. They are two different things. Well, there are two different ways of defining it, right? If you prove something to be true, you could also prove it to be untrue. Maybe it could be proven to be untrue if something is wrong with how you studied it. All right. After you determine that something is an incorrect fact, does it stop being a fact? It is an incorrect fact. That is what it is. So maybe how we should clarify it in our heads is that we should understand that there are correct facts and there are incorrect facts. Or there are correct factual statements and there are incorrect factual statements. This is how misinformation on social media and all over the place gets shared, right? Because people say things in a certain way and we take it as fact, but it's incorrect. Okay, let's go through our explanation first, and then we will watch a short video on Galileo. Do you all know that name, Galileo? Which I didn't plan, but we will find it and watch it. Galileo. Anybody knows what he is famous for? From hundreds of years ago? Okay, one person knows he was an astronomer. All right, so we'll get not jokes and not painted. All right, so let's go through this slide and then we will look for the video on Galileo to help us illustrate this thing about facts and how sometimes they could be untrue. All right, so a fact is a statement we could verify. If we prove it to be true or false, it can be proven to be true or false through objective evidence. So let's say I step on the scale and I weigh 100 pounds, right? That probably never happened for me, maybe when I was like 10. All right, and then I step on another scale and it tells me 110 pounds. Two different scales the same day. Which of those, I mean, I've tried to verify the information by using two different instruments, right? So what's the problem? Is it that over the course of the day I gained 10 pounds? What is probably the issue? It's two different scales. One is telling me 100 pounds, one is telling me 110 pounds. What is probably the problem? Why am I getting the two different readings? Something is wrong with one of these scales. I don't know which one yet. Correct. The machine is the problem. So, but both of those are facts, right? One fact, you weigh 100 pounds. Another fact, you weigh 110 pounds. The means that I've used to verify it is the issue, right? And that is most times why sometimes it turns out facts are wrong, because how we were checking, how we were measuring, there was a problem with that. All right, so we have 4 examples here. Which is the fact and which is the opinion? Which could be a fact and which could be opinion? Is the first one Port of Spain is the capital of Trinidad? Fact or opinion? Fact, right? Because I could look at a map and I could see where the capital is and I will know it's Port of Spain. Is number 2 fact or opinion? Fact. All right, is number 3 fact? Wait, how do we know number 2 is a fact? Is it because everybody believes that? Some people don't believe in dinosaurs, you know, they think they're made up. What would you tell those people? No, we can't tell them they strip it. Right. Bones. It's been proven how through the bones, through the fact that some of their descendants are still alive. We also cannot cite Jurassic Park movies as evidence, right? We could talk about fossils. Okay, good. So that is the evidence, the objective evidence, things people have found. And they figured out, okay, there were dinosaurs, right? I am married and have 2 children. Is that fact or opinion? Can it be verified? Some people don't know. You have to ask yourself not whether it's true or not, but whether or not it could be verified. So somewhere, is there some way to verify that I'm married and have 2 children? There would be a registry. I don't mean asking me, but yeah, you could verify who is married because there's a marriage registry in Trinidad, and you could verify whether or not the person has children. Births are registered, right? That is the type of objective evidence you would use. The legal marriage paper, right? The legal birth certificates, yes. Maybe not things like a ring because people could arbitrarily wear rings. Maybe not if you visit me because we don't have to be married. They don't have to be our children. Maybe not something else somebody said. Right? These are all important points. The name change because not everybody changes their name when they get married, right? All right. So you, if you mind their business, wedding pictures. Well, that's not entirely because they could get divorced after. So you could check marriage registry. You probably should also check divorce registry. You could check well, whether or not the people are divorced. You could check birth certificates to find, but the point is there is objective evidence, sorry, that we could check. Right? So this is also facts. What about the last one? Scarborough is the capital of Trinidad. Aha, Kadira gets it. Can we verify whether or not Scarborough is the capital of Trinidad? Can we go to a map and check? And a map is objective evidence, right? Therefore, it is a fact, even though it is an incorrect fact. So in the brackets, we could put incorrect. Right? So it is possible to have incorrect facts. We are using the dictionary definition of fact. Oh Lord, I keep changing the slide. Sorry, guys. We are not using fact in the sense that we tend to use it in Trinidad and in most places on a day-to-day basis, right? So the dictionary meaning of fact is a statement that can be verified or proven. If you could verify it and you could prove it with objective evidence, then it is considered a factual statement, right? It is possible to have incorrect facts. So keep that in mind, please. And this is important, not just because, you know, we want to go around and we talk about facts, but because where are we? We are in a class. We are learning how to think a little more critically about things, right? So on a daily basis in your real life, when information comes to you, you have to think about, is this a fact? Can I verify it? Can I find evidence to support it? Objective evidence, not what people feel, but what actually exists. All right, so I'm going back over why number 4 would be considered a fact. So first we have to keep in mind that fact does not necessarily mean true, right? A fact is a statement, and you could see the definition on the screen, right? It's a statement that can be verified through objective evidence. That means evidence that people don't say because they feel like it, or they believe it with no evidence. How do we find the capital of a country? Well, a country will list its capital, and then that will be reported in official documents like maps, atlases, facts about the country on the country's official page, I guess, But I would think the main way is maps. And we look for the capital, right? So given that a fact is a statement that you could verify through objective evidence by checking something outside of somebody's opinion, then number 4 is a fact. It's just an incorrect fact, right? We understand that? Anybody still confused about that? I understand you might not agree, that's okay, but keep the definition in mind, right? Okay, all right. All right, I want to change the slide. Anybody still writing? Or you still need to take a screenshot? Okay, so I'm changing this slide, right? I think the next slide is actually a duplicate of this. Yeah, okay, this is a duplicate. I meant to do it on a separate page, but okay, examples of opinions. So let's look at these and see if any of these we want to say are facts, right? All of these are supposed to be opinions. So these examples I would like you to take down as well. Trinidadians are a happy people. Reggae is the type of music most commonly associated with the Caribbean. Manchester United is one of the best football teams of all time. Swansea is one of the best football teams. Oh, Swansea is a team? Swansea. All right, is one of the best football teams of all time. Students are more intelligent when it comes to technology than teachers. Pit bulls are more dangerous than pumpbacks. So I deliberately put some sentences in here that some people might be like, but that's true. How could that be an opinion? That is a fact. Right? So yeah, to be clear, all of these are opinion, right? All of these are. Trinidadians are happy people. Well, who's to say what happy is? And how do you know that everybody feels that way? All right, reggae is the type of music most commonly associated with the Caribbean. That might be true, but we don't really have a way of verifying it. Most commonly associated with the Caribbean by whom? By people in the Caribbean? Definitely not. Trinidadians would say no, right? By people outside of the Caribbean? Well, where outside of the Caribbean? We don't know, right? So there's no, all of that is opinion. There's no objective evidence we could get to verify that. Manchester United is one of the best football teams of all time. Thoughts? Anybody want to argue that this is fact? If I had put this other team, Barcelona, would you all have said yes? Swansea is one of, so this one so I used to bring up in his classes all the time to just irritate the genuine football fan players, right? A lot of us here though don't follow football, myself included. I just picked 2 names that I hear a lot. All right. What about number 5? Students are more intelligent when it comes to technology than teachers. Anybody want to say that's fact? Because we usually associate younger people with being good at technology, right? Yes, it's an opinion. Which teachers? There are IT teachers out there. There are university teachers. There are people whose job it is to develop new technology for students, right? So this is also opinion. I'll save the, it's already almost 20 past, so I'll save the Galileo video for next week, right? And the last one, pit bulls are more dangerous than pumpbacks. Fact or opinion? Yeah, this is opinion. Are there keywords to tell you whether it's fact or opinion? There are some words that you generally see when it's an opinion. And these are words, oh dear, opinion. This word is opinion, right? Words like best, most, greatest, right? So emotive, emotion, feeling words. Yes, I think is another one, right? Now understand, you might see the word most, and if it refers to like numbers, it could be a fact, right? Yeah, one of the best is, one of the best football teams is, and that doesn't mean it's true, right? Because best is opinion. That's true. Words that you can't really use in reports. That's a good way to think about it. And for facts, you might generally see things like, well, you see evidence. You might see statistical and numerical data a lot. Let me put in objective evidence. Because people like, we can't put in, you know, my grandmother said as evidence. Your grandmother is not an expert in the field, we presume, right? Numbers and statistics a lot. Because those things could be verified. No, that doesn't mean we have the tools to verify it, right? But they could be verified by someone doing a similar study or check for information. All right, any thoughts or questions anybody wants to share? Okay, I'm giving us 2 minutes to just take whatever notes you want to from the screen, and then we will wrap up, right? All right, guys, any questions? Anybody still writing? Okay, so I want to clear the screen and just recap what we did today and go back to the homework, right? So today we looked at some of the different, types of, well, we looked at facts and opinion. That's the last thing we did. And we looked at some different patterns or types of organization that you could use when you're doing expository writing, right? So we gave definitions in particular for classification, cause and effect, problem and solution, process, and sequencing, right? All right. Next week we will do comparison and contrast. And yeah, I did have cause and effect twice, but I scratched that off and put listing when we did it the first time, right? So next week we will do comparison and contrast. We'll do a couple of examples together. For homework, this is our homework. Now, we did not get to do any paragraphs together. I'm going to send back the link, right? In the chat. We didn't get to do any expository paragraphs together, but you all could try one. And then worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, a paragraph from last week, and paragraph from this week, right? All right. I'm gonna go back. So if you have no more questions, you're free to go. And I'll see you all next week. Remember, class is Thursday next week, right? We're going back to Thursday. It's just I had a problem this week and I had to have it Friday. So just a reminder, we have class on Thursday next week. Right, guys? So take care. And I'm going to go back to the last slide. These questions are in the link. So once you have the link, you'll get it there, right? Bye, guys. I'm going back to the last slide because someone is still writing, right? So I'm changing this slide again. Right, so these are just examples of opinion. And they were all opinion if you're still taking a note. And there were some keywords for facts and opinion, but I'll give those back to you next week, right? So I'm leaving the meeting open for anybody who's still writing. I'm going to stop the recording here though.